So, so the question is then, how do you find out if an authority has been compromised? Are they speaking from a position where they can speak from, that they studied this, or are they kind of using their position to talk about something else, or what are the reasons behind the conclusions that they came to? So those are kind of two ways we can figure out if something's been compromised. And compromise here just kind of means like, they're speaking outside of what the facts of the matter might be. So,
or at least speaking outside of their area of expertise.
Sure.
Yeah.
So regardless of the scholar's credential, it's always okay to ask for reasons.
Yeah.
Why do you hold that? Why was that the conclusion?
Yeah.
So when we talk about planets, it's why did we kick out Pluto?
Yeah.
Well, Pluto's kind of this dwarf planet, and if we counted Pluto in the same way that we counted other things that we've classified Pluto as, we'd actually have more planets.
Oh yeah.
Okay,
right.
so
all
that
these large asteroids would have to be counted.
Yeah. So that they have their versions of moons, their orbits matches Pluto's, and so we want to maybe narrow down what our definition of planet is. Okay, now I've been informed. So how many planets there are and the reasons behind it. Great. That's what we want to do. And so it's not just Neil deGrasse Tyson said that there should be 8, and so.
That's
you go.
it. Yeah.
Right. So don't settle for opinions either. I hate to pick on Neil deGrasse Tyson, but he's so prevalent in everything else. So, how accurate of our science should be in our movies. Well, let's talk to Neil deGrasse Tyson. Well, what might be scientific might not always be entertaining. So what position does he have on?
We all have opinions about what's entertaining, right? He has his opinions, we have ours.
Yeah.
Okay, fine. I'm not an expert in it, and I don't think he's an expert in what's in it. Although he's probably getting really good at it now.
So don't settle for opinions. This is the key to Rhodes Scholar. There's nothing wrong with appealing to authority, but it must be done in the right way. So that's one of the things where people that's a straw man argument. People kind of use that's just an appeal to authority. Well, if the authority is an authority, then it's okay to talk about that. Hey, Mom, what's my name? Well, since you named me, that's a good person to go to for my authority.
And she has a real good reasons why that's your name. She named you.
Right. And so, maybe your mom didn't know that you were switched at birth and it wasn't any nefarious. And we have the best idea, but your name's not really Tony.
Yeah.
Oh, man. That'd be awkward. But that's when we get into things like, are you warranted to your belief, and defeaters and stuff like that? And that's probably another topic. So there's nothing wrong to appealing to authority, but it has to be done right. You must ask, why should I believe this person's opinion? And so, that's another thing is the difference between what someone is offering for kind of a scholarly perspective and whether or not it's an opinion.
Yeah. So why should I believe this person's opinion? So, Coco says that there are at least 2 ways to answer this query, right? Why should I believe a person? First, the scholar may be in a special position to know the facts, right? So that's a good reason to believe their opinion. They may be in a particular, it may be an area of their expertise. And so they know the facts about, the particular issue. Right. So notice if an authority is in possession of special information that guides his counsel, then we should be able to point to that evidence or she should be able to point to that evidence to convince us that they're on the mark, right? In other words, if it's an area of their expertise, they should be able to give us reasons why they hold that particular position, right?
We don't have to label the entire human genome to be part of the Human Genome Project. And we can say, okay, this person's did it. They've given us reasons why they've done it in a certain way. So we can say, well, Dr. So-and-so is the one that did it and has good reasons for it. So we can point to that as kind of a shorthand. You don't have to, figure out what DNA looks like yourself in order to say, well, most scientists concur to the fact that DNA looks like this. Here's a picture of it. Right. This is how they've come up with that, structure and everything like that. So
So now we have reasons along with what most scientists say.
DNA looks like double helix. Gotcha. make dinosaurs from them.
That's right. So with regard to this position to know, their area of expertise, there's two issues that he wants us to be aware of, though, when we get these kind of claims, right? Sometimes authorities give opinions that are outside of their area of expertise. And so they're giving an opinion on something that, it's just their opinion, right. And they're not as familiar with the facts maybe as someone else who is an expert in that particular area. And so we need to be aware of that, right? He gives an illustration here about, I think it was a particular bill that a bunch of scientists were supporting, right? And this is what he says. He says, I scanned the comments and credentials. It occurred to me that these Nobel laureates, in science, like biology, chemistry, and medicine, they didn't qualify as a person to render sound counsel on economics or ethics. So these scientists were making economic and ethics claims that it weren't as part of their expertise, right? So the first issue that we need to be aware of is sometimes authorities give opinions that are outside of their area of expertise.
So they're kind of relying on borrowed capital is how I would call it.
Yeah.
So they've got the doctor in front and all the letters in back. And they say, I'm an expert in, microbiology, and so you should listen to me about what we should do about the environment.
That's right. Or
hold on.
Or ethics, or the economics.
Right. Are you a doctor of the forest? I'm unsure of why you're speaking on this. Yeah. And that's not to say that people can't have opinions.
Right.
It's saying, can they utilize their capital of being a doctor or a scholar or an educator to speak on that specific thing that we would say, doctor, therefore he's speaking on his field of expertise.
Yeah, good. So that's one issue. The second issue he wants us to be aware of is that even when scholars do speak within their field of authority, right, their field of expertise, they still owe us an accounting based on some good reasons for believing why they hold the position they believe. And so we need to, hold them to the fire in the same way that we hold anyone else, right? Why do you believe that that's the case?
His quote here from Norm Geisler says, all appeals to authority ultimately rest on the evidence that the authority has. The letters after his name don't mean a thing without the evidence to back up his position.
You go Norm. Yeah.
So that's again, it's always okay to question, figure out where they're coming from. The whole 98% of all scientists say that climate change is occurring. Of climate scientists, and what type of climate scientists, and then if it just stops there, then there's no qualification of what do they mean by if you just say climate changes, how many people are going to actually say no to that?
Yeah, so 98. So we've been informed, right? But we want to be educated.
Yeah, we want education. we want the not the numbers, but also the why the numbers.
Yeah.
So there's a second avenue that we ask here for the Rhodes Scholar tactic, and that's, why should I believe this person's opinion? And it can be answered. Sometimes a scholar is in a unique position to render judgment. More than mere facts are in play here. Interpretation and professional assessments are factors. So you kind of have to dig a little deeper here than maybe what they're asking you. You can do this for Christian scholars. So you can say that Gary Habermas, who studied the New Testament evidences, say that Jesus rose from the dead. Okay, great. But why? Well, good thing Gary Habermas has something like 16 points, but he only needs 4. He's super good at explaining just how many he needs, the kind of the bare facts to show the resurrection. So he can get to 4. If you give him the 4, he can still prove the resurrection happens. But he's got more than that, and so that's the cool way of doing that. But again, we can do this not just for secular scientists, but we can do it for anybody with any credential, or even saying like, I'm an expert because I've studied in my spare time astronomy. So I don't have to have gone to school, but I've looked up the night sky. I can tell you exactly what a binary star does, and the tint and color and everything like that.
Again, not just, we're not considering just because a person is expert, but again, we want to know, we have the reasons why that they believe or the position that they hold. Why
it helps to inform us more about how we know what we know.
Yeah, yeah.